Hello everyone, in this video I'll show you how to integrate GitHub to Studio and push your workspace code into as a GitHub project. On my screen you can see two tabs. On the first tab we have the Studio, and in the second tab I have created a dummy GitHub account where we can push our workspace code to. So today as of now there are no repositories in this account. So now let's get started at the studio. So for now I'll pick, either you can pick an existing workspace that you're already working on or pick a new template to create a new workspace. So let me pick a new template. So I'll pick a Python template here and then launch it. It will take a couple of seconds and then gets launched. So let's wait for that. So once your Python workspace is launched, you can write your code, you can test your code. For example, I have this default hello world. So I'll maybe write it as like demo GitHub integration, save it, run it, just double check my code is working fine. So let's say I'm done with my code. At this point I want to push this code to a GitHub repository. To do that, on the left side you have something called source control. Come here, and then first step you do is initializing a repository. So far you have not created any Git repository yet. So I click on initialize repository. That creates basically a repository. It is just making sure all the permissions and stuff like that is ready. And so I'm picking my repository and marking it as safe. So now we can see all the files that are part of my repository, and you can see this prompt where asking you to write a commit message so that you can push it to make your first commit to the main branch. So I'll call it as, let's say, init, and I'll commit my code. So I have committed all of my code to init branch. So if you see it basically popped up an error saying your GitHub is not or Git is not properly configured. To get started using, you need to configure username and email. If not done for the first time, it will ask for this prompt. So all you need to do is like just click the open git log. You can see there are two commands it is giving you to run. Replace these two values, which is email and name, with your email and name. For now I'm just copy pasting the same thing, setting the email to you@example.com and name to your name. So once that is done, you can commit your first commit. So actually you made the commit, it is all done now. So now it is asking a button to publish to a branch. So you can click this, and by default you get this pop-up that you want to connect to GitHub to make this push. Say allow. So what it will do is like it will give a code and say copy and continue to GitHub. Click on that button and open GitHub. So now the code is already copied to your clipboard. Paste it here, click continue. This is basically you're authorizing the studio to GitHub so that studio can programmatically write content into your GitHub account. So which is all done. So now it is asking you to give a project name. So let's say I'll call it my Python project, and it is asking you to choose a public or private version. So for now I'll keep it as private. I click that and it is all done. So basically you have created your code and initialized a local repository and committed your code and then pushed that to a GitHub account. So let's go to our repositories and verify whether the push happened or not. As we can see the project here, my Python project. I made a typo, fine. So we can see one commit here, and which is basically my first version of the entire project. So you can also continue using your project. Let's say you're writing one more file. So maybe I'll make another copy of this. Say, let's say multi-line hello world, where let's say I do a new line to this instead of putting everything into one line. Again, I'll check my code, working fine. So I can again go to the source control. At this point you can see the diff of the file. So basically it's a Git workflow which will show you what are all the things you changed. So okay, you agree to push this code, you do a plus, which is staging it, and then you commit. Added new line print program. So you are giving a commit message and you committed it and you are saying sync. So once this is done, it is basically pushing the code to the same repository. You can come here, refresh it. You can see the new commit as well. So you can see what are the things that are changed. You can also go back to the repo and to see all the files in that repo. So this is how the GitHub integration works. So you can continue using Studio, make your changes, and at any point of time, as a checkpoint, you want to push your code to the GitHub, you can push to the GitHub, and you can always come back to GitHub and then refer your code. All right, thank you.